Okay.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Rock and Roll Gypsy Diaries. I am your host, Andi Thunders. With me is the Rock and Roll Nurse, and we've got Nibbs Carter from Saxon. How are you, man?
I think I'm wonderful.
I think so
Well, I
too.
don't know if I feel okay. I've just been going for a run because I love going for a run. I've been recording riffs on this little machine
Nice.
all day and then editing. And then I checked my mail and I still didn't see a confirmation link for this interview. So I thought, I'm going for my run. And halfway through the run, I got a message from our office that, yeah, it's still on. And I thought, oh, I'm going to be late. So I got my friend Michelle to reschedule. And here we are. We made it. But otherwise, I'm doing great. Thanks.
I appreciate it, and I apologize for that. I am a night shift worker, and the time difference between the US and Europe obviously exists. And I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, I've been a fan for a long time, and just chatting a little bit before, apparently you were a fan of the band as a teenager as well. So we have that in common.
Yeah, definitely.
So tell me about your upbringing and where you were born and what music inspired you, would you say, to that's what I want to do? Like, I want to play in a rock band.
I was born in a place called Cleethorpes. That's Cleethorpes, and that's on the east coast of England.
Okay.
It's about the same latitude as Lincoln. If you find Lincoln, just go to the east coast, and you'll find Cleethorpes was where I was born, and that's like it's direct neighbours with another town called Grimsby.
Okay.
And Cleethorpes is more of a sandy beach with a pier.
Oh, okay.
Sticking out into the River Humber. And so Cleethorpes is more of like a bucket and spade, seaside, stick of rock, ice cream melting in your sand, and sand in your sandals.
So kind of like
fishing.
California over here in a way.
Yeah, but like about 20 degrees cooler, or 70.
Yeah, I was gonna say definitely.
Yeah, but you know, I mean, it's beautiful, really nice beach. And then as you go further up towards Grimsby, it becomes more of a harbour. Grimsby used to be like the neighbour of Cleethorpes. Used to be one of the busiest like fishing harbours globally. You know, way back in like last century, you know, and it only really slowed down with like trawlers and snibbies, and you know, they used to just go out. You used to be able to walk all the way around the harbour from boat to boat, from ship to ship.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
You know, it was just absolutely full of busy actively fishing trawlers. And then around the early 70s, mid 70s, there was a thing where, you know, like a country called Iceland and Britain and other like European countries were also asking for their own like share of, you know, the fishing territories. And so yeah, borders became a big deal, and so that pretty much put an end to like the thriving fishing industry in the Grimsby, Cleethorpes area, and so it ended up like putting a bit of a kill switch on the economy.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah, but so around that time I would be about 10 years old. I was born in 1966.
Okay.
And I was combined with like, so a lot of unemployment around my 10 years old and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and
that was around the winter of discontent, wasn't it?
Well, there was punk coming in as well, and 78, 79 So I was 12, 13,
Okay.
and it was around that time that I've got my first bass guitar, 13, 14. And so um, I should let you know that I've also got like 3 elder sisters and 2 elder brothers.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And so my brothers were both into rock music, Zeppelin, Cream,
Yeah.
Purple, Clapton, all kinds of stuff, but like the usual stuff, and Thin Lizzy,
All very good
Wish,
bands.
Wishbone Ash, and
Oh, Wishbone
and
Ash.
also Rush,
Oh yeah.
and my sisters, they were into more like more funk, pop, soul, a little bit of rock here, some blues there.
Good stuff for bass.
Well, the thing is, I was getting a real good mixture, and there was
Yeah.
music around all the time. My mum was, by the time I was like 13, 14, she would be like close to 60. I was the last kid, yeah?
Gotcha.
And so she was pretty mellowed with her music by that time, but I would hear um, a real cross section of music. And so to me, it was no surprise to be mixing rock, pop, funk, soul with orchestrated like sappy ballads and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I didn't realize what it meant until like my brothers gave me some Rush records to
Yeah.
check out, and I was blown away by Rush, especially one album called "All the World Is a Stage."
That was my first Rush album I nicked from my mother's tape collection.
Yeah, but I got the vinyl, and so it was a double gatefold.
Oh wow, you lucky one.
Yeah, it's really lucky because if you hold up one of those things,
Yeah.
you've got you're almost in the gig because it was all live photos.
The same with the Kiss Alive. I have the German edition of that.
Yeah, so there you go. And when you're 13, 14, and you're checking these photos out and listening to it at the same time, it's a bit of a mind blower. And so a big thing was, wow, this is just 3 guys, and you can
Yeah.
see this guy that's like pulling this Neil Peart, like pulling these faces as he's doing these drum rolls, and then you can hear his drum solo,
Yeah. On the
on the
road.
album. It blew me away, and and I also got. They gave me a poster of Phil Lynott, doing the Live and
Nice,
Dangerous, and so I listened to Live and Dangerous, and then All the World's a Stage,
You had such a similar upbringing.
AC/DC, If You Want Blood, and it's funny. The only place I heard Saxon was on the radio.
Oh
and,
wow.
and that was 747 Strangers in the Night.
Was that on John Peel or Radio One or something like
It
that?
wasn't on John Peel. John Peel's actually called John Ravenscroft. He was
Okay.
called John Peel because the radio station said nobody will remember that name. He used to.
I did not know that. Of all the things I know, I did not know that.
Yeah, it's really funny. He actually worked in Dallas on the radio. What was it, Caravan's Cat or something radio station?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and they just thought he's got such a Northern English accent. He must know the Beatles. And so he was like the Beatles representative in downtown Dallas way back. And
Wow.
but anyway, no, it wasn't John Peel. It was just. I don't think he would have gone for that. Actually, it was actually just mainstream
Oh, okay.
Radio One. And, it wasn't even Tommy Vance who was the rock show of that time. He would do the Friday rock show. It was just mainstream radio, and that was probably what made it stand out even more because the chorus of 747 is like such a sweet, lilting,
Yeah.
kind of melancholy chorus, but the verse and main riff is like mid tempo, but it's got great swing. It really
Oh
makes
yeah.
the riff
It,
feel heavy. And
it ticks all
on
the
daytime
boxes
radio,
for a great song, for
yeah,
a
on the
great hard
daytime
rock.
radio, it
Yeah,
stands out. It's subtle, but it it's got the weight of heavy rock to it. And
absolutely.
that was where I heard that, and I thought, I'm gonna go out. I've got some money. I'm 14. I'm gonna go for a real long walk and buy a whole lot of Rosie Live, the single, because that's what I'd been hearing all the time at the school discos.
Gotcha.
Uh, I really needed to get the record and 747 by Saxon, because if I was gonna practice my air guitar properly, I needed to have the records,
Absolutely.
And yeah, I walked a long way to get them. Really long way to get those records, and got home. And bonus was I'd never heard Hell Ain't a Bad Place to Be.
Oh yeah, that's such
And
a
that was the B side of Whole Lot of Rosie. And I'd never heard See the Light Shining, which was the B side of 747, Strangers in the Night. So you get home, you got 4 awesome songs.
oh yeah, absolutely.
And so I was off, and that's real like heavy rock stuff. But in the meantime, I was pretending that I was Geddy Lee. Looking at Neil Peart. I was fascinated by the bass and the drums in Rush.
Yeah.
So much that I would just like get my mum's Tupperware and wooden spoons and stuff, and I would just pretend that I could play the Neil Peart stuff.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then 14th birthday, I got a bass guitar. I got some £40 for my birthday.
Nice.
And I ran to this shop and got a bass guitar and went to my friends who were like doing a guitarist and a drummer, Sean Johnson and Russell Brown. They were just from my year at school. Sean was from a couple of years above. He had a drum kit, and Russ had a Les Paul copy guitar, and they were just like ripping up anything that they could think of, as loud as possible in the
That's
local.
what you do.
Yeah, in the local school playing field changing rooms. They were allowed to. Yeah, they were allowed to rent that.
It's wild
like
to think of like playing or practicing at a place.
One night a week they would do that, and I stole my sister's moped, like helmet on, and I was like racing around. Like I ended up at the school playing field, and I could hear this noise coming out of there. So I just put my head against the door and thought, well, it sounds like they're not going to be bothered if I open the door and check them out. So I opened the door, and I knew the guys, and they were like, excellent. My friend Russell said, let me have a go on your moped, and I have a go on his guitar. I've never played one. I've never touched a guitar, really. But it just, sometimes you just hit a guitar and it sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened. I mean, it's easy to say it now I analyze it, but like at that point, I genuinely think it was just one of those things where you hit the strings, you're not holding a chord or anything because you don't know the chord.
Right.
So you just hit some strings, and for whatever reason, you
ignite something inside you.
Yeah. You hit a guitar. You hit a guitar sometimes, and it just sounds cool.
And you're just
especially if you don't expect it to sound cool. You just hit a chord, and a couple of days later, I went and grabbed that £40 and ran to the shop, got myself a bass guitar, and then went back to my friend, and I showed him this bass guitar, and he said, "What have you got that for?" I said, "Because you need a bass player." And so that was it. We just started jamming.
Nice. Learning along the way, right?
Yeah, but we would do anything. We would just play like. At that point, we were doing stuff like the Shadows.
Okay, yeah.
But we would also do like Stiff Little Fingers.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, Buzzcocks,
Nice, yeah.
and a little bit heavier, like uh, The Exploited and stuff like that.
Oh, what did you
But
do by the
I mean,
Explorer?
we would do anything though. I mean, we would try to play Motorhead, and
Nice.
and by the time I'd been playing about a year, started adventuring into trying to play, Rush, and so I would say we've got to try this Rush song. We've got to try this Rush song. And we would all just like lower end hobby players, and but aim high.
Yeah,
That's that was the motto, and yeah. But the good thing is, within 3 or 4 years, I'd already learnt enough that I could fool people to employ me.
nice. That's always nice. I mean, yeah, it takes about that amount of time to really know your way around the instrument pretty comfortably, I think. You know. But you never know everything about the guitar. I think that's another thing of intrigue with it. You know what I
Now
mean?
you don't always get to know what you want, but as the Stones would tell you, you get to know what you need.
Exactly. And sometimes that's just 3 chords and an attitude.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool that you were jamming on like, punk stuff, because that's probably pretty simple stuff to start off with, thinking about it, and AC/DC and stuff like that.
Well, it is in retrospect, but when you're starting and your fingers are hurting like hell,
Yeah.
and you don't know what a plectrum is.
You're using a nickel or a penny, or
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah,
like
John Peel. You mentioned John Peel earlier on, and he was fascinated by the undertones. And Teenage Kicks was one of the first songs. Gotta Get Away was Stiff Little Fingers as well.
yeah.
But Teenage Kicks is like.
Mhm. Yep. But
And
that's such
literally
a
just
good
that
riff.
finger.
But yeah, it's such a good melody, isn't it? Like,
Oh yeah, it's brilliant. I mean,
it's brilliant in its simplicity.
yeah, we had great fun. Like you all like. I'm sure you know what I mean when you run through a track together with your buddies, and you didn't plan a year or more before, or any time in the past, that you would get together at one point and become a band. We just
Yeah.
like stumbled upon each other, and like
Yeah, like you just poked your head in the door and said, "What? You need a bass player?" And
yeah,
like
yeah.
a year later,
And
you're just
then
like,
yeah, that was really funny. And then within like 4 or 5 weeks or something, you would get like 3 or 4 kids come from school and just check us out practicing.
yeah,
You know,
hang out,
yeah, but and it's all of a sudden, I was about that tall at that point.
Yeah.
I didn't get past like 5 feet high until I was about 17 or something.
And then you just grew like a tree, right?
Well, I'm only like an inch or so shy of 6 foot now,
Okay.
but back then, I was on real slow progress, and so my base was bigger than I was. You
I know
know,
what that's like. When I was 14, I had a PV Patriot bass that was made in the 70s, and my God, the neck was heavier than the body of that thing. So, like,
yeah,
it was almost like I would fall over sometimes.
yeah. It's budding musicians don't always get to start with a 3/4 bass or a half size bass, and then a 3/4, and then
Yeah.
5/8 and all that kind of thing. It's usually the full on deal right away. Like
Yep. The full length neck and everything.
yeah, but it's priceless stuff because
I wish I still had it.
yeah, yeah. Well, the great thing is, like you said, in heavy rock. You do get some real great foundation out of those, like basic tracks,
Yeah.
like the 3 or 4 chord like punk tracks, slow, medium pace tracks.
Yeah, the Sex Pistols' Problems comes to mind as an easy plunder, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you put Anarchy in the UK on, and wow,
It's explosive.
it's priceless. It's priceless. I mean, one thing I like is you take away Johnny Lydon's vocal, Johnny Rotten's vocal, and
Hard rock record.
yeah, exactly. And but when you put him on, it's like awesome because
Exactly.
he is like saying, I don't care who the you are.
I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah, and I'm not just telling it to you. I'm ramming it down your throat.
Exactly.
You're taking this. You're taking this, and you're not going to give it back to me. You know.
Yep. That record.
Absolutely vicious. I know Sid was the bass player, but the vocal delivery from Johnny Rotten is vicious. It's absolutely amazing, and so
absolutely.
there's some real like inspirational stuff. You know, when you're sitting there 14, 15, learning these things, and with your schoolmates, and the oldest guy in the room, you're in his living room with his drum kit and a couple of guitar caps and stuff like that. And also, he might have some homebrew beer there.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so you're having your first real taste of beer and stuff, and listening to this stuff, and you realize actually I'm actually in a band.
Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy, man.
And we sold out tonight. Nobody was here, but we sold out.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you're like you're living the dream basically, and that's basically a really inspiring little like alchemy.
When
What
you
you
think back to like all the racketing noise you were making before you knew what the hell you were doing, and then
most of it was you know, we did it in the school playing field changing rooms, but then we like progressed to the drummer's parents' front room of their house. Yeah, which was acoustically better, but for the neighbours, it must have been a nightmare. And his father used to go out to his son's, the drummer's brother's house, another part of town, for his Sunday lunch, usually about 2 o'clock till 6 in the afternoon. Yes. So like we would move in 2 o'clock in the afternoon and just ahead, Dead Kennedys, Rush, whatever, Eurythmics, The Shadows, anything you could think of until 6 p.m.
Nice.
And it's funny, every now and then I get messages on Facebook or something like that from people who can remember the noise that used to go on down Queen Mary Avenue Sunday afternoon around 1980 till about 1983.
That's awesome.
It is. It's going, it was you, you noisy bastards. Yeah, you got to practice. You got to learn somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, it's better there than, you know, right out front their house on their lawn, I guess.
Yeah, we used to go on the lawn every now and then, but like, don't forget, as we said earlier on, it's Cleethorpes, not California.
Yeah. So obvious. I mean, you were with this band for how long would you say? 4 or 5 years? Longer than that?
Yeah, it wasn't a band. Well, we actually called ourselves a flock of pigeon shit.
I like that.
Well, we were Pork Stove at one point, then a flock of pigeon shit. But yeah, it was like we were just hobby players. You know, we weren't in a band or anything. We didn't go out and do gigs. We was just like we sold out my friend's front room. That's it. We don't need the fame anymore. We kind of retired ourselves after we just thought let's be realistic. Like we're going this far and we don't need to go further. So we just really enjoyed front room get-togethers, homebrew, front room. That'll do. And then at one point I was about, I don't know, I joined a band, local band. Oh no, wait a second, I'm jumping ahead here. I finished school, so I would have been 17. So that would have been 83.
Okay.
And I got a job, and I had a plumber's merchants, bathroom, kitchens, and I was in like the warehouse, that kind of thing, trade counter, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And but I used to take a bass to work with me, and so I would have been 17, 18.
Yeah.
And one of my friends, one of my brothers, he had a friend who was a singer in a band, and they were like semi-pro.
Okay.
And they were all about 10 years older than me, maybe 15 years old, 10, 11, 12 years older than me. Okay. And the guitar player from the band, he had some success with a band in the mid-70s. They were called the Motors.
Okay.
And they toured, and they had like radio success and stuff like that. So he was able to save some of his financial reward from that and invest it in a recording studio project where about 30 miles south of where I was living, there was a town called South Thoresby. It's a village in Lincolnshire. And there's a Wesleyan chapel in this small village. And really pretty thing, not very big. It's probably, like 30 yards by 15 yards footprint, but real old sandstone with sandstone like arched windows and stuff. And he and another guy invested in converting it into a recording studio.
Man, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, really cool. The Chapel Studios. It's actually quite a popular studio for rock nowadays. Not just rock, it's a recording studio, but a lot of rock bands seem to like migrate in there. And there's the guitar player from the band that I joined. And I have to go back a step. My brother knew the singer in a band, and they were based at this studio because the guitar player of that band, he'd had some success and he'd invested in converting that place into a studio, and they basically used to just rehearse there all the time and then use that as a bass. And they'd lost their bass player for whatever reason. And my brother said to the singer, try Nibbs. I was, 18.
Nice.
And they were all like 30, 32 years old or whatever. And
gotcha.
I went and did this audition, and the guitar player, who was the co-owner of the studio, his name's Peter Bramall.
Okay. Yeah.
Or Bram. We all called him Bram. Bram Tchaikovsky was his stage name, but we all just called him Bram. Okay. He just said, "Cool, I like what you've just done in the audition. You're in the band." So that was cool. I joined them, and they were based at this chapel studio.
Oh, nice.
And we did a few gigs around the country, but mostly we would just do resident stuff at local clubs or stuff like that. And
what was that like the first time you went on stage, though? I mean, that's
cool. It was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, it was only like small places. Every now and then we would do something like a university or something like that. But they were like semi-pro and pro musicians, so they knew how to deal with that kind of thing. And I'm the kind of kid that I kind of assimilate what's going on with the other characters.
Correct. Yeah.
I just kind of blend in. I won't become inanimate, and I won't become over animate if that's not necessary. I'll just do what seems to be the right thing, and they enjoyed what I was doing, and that was cool. But it was the main thing was it was based in a recording studio, and the there was a kid there called Matthew Kemp. He was around the same age as I was.
Okay.
So we were like 17, 18, 19 years old, Matthew and myself. And we realized that the band wasn't always busy and that there was often quite a bit of downtime at the studio.
Okay.
And I'd basically left my job that I just told you about so that I could be permanently with the band and hanging around in that studio. And if we weren't gigging and if the band weren't recording or writing or anything, then I would just hang around with Matthew at the studio and get to know each other and how you can create music in a recording studio.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's a great thing to learn. I never learned that. And
priceless, because we would get stoned and just...
That's the best way to do it.
And I mean, we weren't stoned all the time, but I mean, if you're cleaning a recording studio, you often find a little, a little bit of dope here or whatever. And
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, even if you're cleaning the channels on a recording desk, oh, let's clean this. Oh, what's that? We could smoke that, and so. Oh no, it's just dirt. But whatever. Anyway, we had a lot of fun, and the main thing is we learned a hell of a lot about how you can construct soundscapes and making music sound good. And we used to jam. He would play drums, I would play bass, play a bit of guitar. He would play some keyboards, and we would just layer stuff and record. And there you go, in a fantastic recording studio. And then it would get to the end of the day, and then we would put like Prince Sign of Times on, Skin Up, and blow our minds. And that would be so. We would like have a kind of a working day and a reward at the end of the day, and all based around music. All based around music.
That's a great way to live.
Yeah, and then I kind of finished being there. But that studio, I was saying quite a few rock bands used to use it. Any bands used to use it, but rock bands used to use it as well. And Saxon actually used to use it for demoing.
Oh wow!
And rehearsing.
So this studio doesn't exist anymore, I imagine, or does it?
Yeah, it does.
Oh wow!
Yeah, in fact, we recorded an album called Call to Arms there.
Oh, nice! Yeah, that's a good album.
10 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, which was really funny, because we went back to that studio to record.
A circle for it.
And the owner was laughing his head off when I walked in. I mean, we'd kind of been in touch anyway, but it was cool, to go back and record at a studio where you'd kind of begun your career,
Yeah, like full circle.
And that's actually where I got to join Saxon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, a couple of years after. Basically 1988, I got a call, and I was in a pub, and the studio manager Andy called and said Saxon are in and they need a bass player. I'll come and pick you up. And so he came and picked me up, and they were demoing and finishing off some recording for some new stuff. And I had to learn a lot of what I was doing, and then I just ran through everything with them. It was all recorded. Biff was really pleased and said, if you would like to, you can join in on the next studio album sessions.
Oh, wow.
And so, yeah, that was autumn 1988. And so what that led to was a couple of gigs around March, April 89. And then we went into writing for what was going to be called Solid Ball of Rock.
Nice.
Yeah, we went into writing for that, but it wasn't like a solid one session. We would do a couple of weeks here,
Yeah.
break for a month, do a couple of weeks there, a break. And then around Christmas '89, we did some shows with, I don't know if you ever heard of a band called Manowar.
Yeah.
And
I interviewed Ross the Boss.
yeah, anyway, I'm joking. Everybody's heard of Manowar. And so what happened was it came to Christmas. It was called a Christmas metal meeting. And there was Fate's Warning,
Nice.
Sabbat.
Nice.
Yeah, Andy Sneap with Sabbat.
Yeah.
Lizzie Borden.
Ooh. Interesting.
Ourselves.
Nice.
And Manowar. Yeah, and that was like about 10 shows around Germany, Switzerland, or whatever.
That's a hell of a bill.
Yeah, and the thing is, you were saying it must have felt great to get on stage early with the band that I was first with, you know.
But it must have felt even better with that.
It was great in those clubs and pubs and the university here and there and what have you. But to get on stage with Saxon, who were my heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
In like arena gigs.
Oh man.
Yeah, that was like at Christmas in Germany. I'd barely left Britain, you know.
Yeah, I mean that's.
I'd been to Switzerland when I was 12 with a school trip, you know, for a week. Yeah. But that was it. But this was leaving Britain to go to Germany and Europe to be special guests to Manowar in like sports halls and sheds, and arena gigs and stuff like that. And yeah, that was mind blowing. And the crazy thing was the crowd seemed to be blown away as well.
Yeah.
And so when it all adds up together to being
a magical metal.
This is what it can be like. And so that was crazy. And then 1990 came around, and we went into the studio and recorded Solid Ball of Rock. And
record.
Yeah,
I was born a year later, so maybe I'm prejudiced because of that. But I really like that record a lot.
Well, the band hadn't done anything in the studio for like about 2.5, 3 years. Prior to that.
Yeah, it was
even a bit longer. Destiny was the one before that.
Yeah.
And Destiny didn't have the heaviness, I don't think, or the it didn't have the Solid Ball of Rock seems to have more of an early Saxon flavor than Destiny.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. And I think that was embraced by
the form, I think, at that point.
Yeah, I think there was more embraced by fans, you know. And I was really lucky because that was the first studio album that I did with the band, and so.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Got off on the right foot, you know.
Got a winner.
I didn't join the band and land in a rut, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, which has happened in the past with a lot of legendary groups that have switched lineups.
Yeah. So yeah, I got seriously lucky, and the band hit the ground running, and. Yeah, I mean, the 90s were a bit crazy for any classic rock band. You know, it wasn't ideal, like an ideal period for classic rock bands. You know, you either just stayed doing your formula and waited for the carousel to come round again, or you just try to improvise, or maybe like do a bit of chameleon, and and we did a little bit of like morphing, you know, trying to.
Didn't do too much compared to a lot of other groups at the time.
No, Saxon did their fair share of that in the mid '80s, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think I don't think that was like taken too well by a lot of bands. Some people just thought it was amazing, but the whole marketplace was changing anyway. It was an MTV like
Yeah,
Explosion, which isn't where Saxon came from,
absolutely.
And so it took the late '90s to really shape what the band turned into, and yeah, by the time we got to 2003-4, we'd realised that we can actually experiment and not be too far away from classic rock, and still, still stay within in the framework where people will say, yes, that's still Saxon, and it sounds
Yeah.
great. And so we've been building on that pretty much.
Well, you've done good. I mean, I can't say that there's really anything necessarily bad in the catalog since you've joined as well. I mean, I know it got patchy there in the 80s before you joined, in the later period, but I don't see a bad record in the bunch.
Well, it's nice of you to say that. Being honest, I mean, yeah, I would agree. But as when you hear a record, a review of a record, and you say all fillers, no killers, all killers, no fillers. And through the last 10 records, there's always seems to have been, up until the last 3 or 4 records, I would say there's been, yeah, that's a filler. That's a filler. I'm not gonna be specific, but I
Yeah,
think in the last 3 or 4 records, we've got to the point where we're quite strict with our quality control. We're not usually. I mean, Andy Sneap's had a big help. He's helped us a lot. I don't know. He just gives you this feeling of this is somebody who's respected globally in the heavy metal community. So
absolutely.
I'd better raise my game. Unlike,
He's like a modern day Bob Ezrin, I guess, then.
yeah, he doesn't come running at you with no.
Gotcha. Okay.
But
That's
I think that's also something to do with when you know that you're working with Andy, you're not going to just give him any old shit.
exactly.
We're
You're
not
gonna
just
bring
writing
something of
any old
quality.
toss, So when I do stuff and send it to Biff, I'm probably giving Biff, I don't know, three. Biff will usually tell me 2 out of 5 of my ideas are good, so I make sure he gets 50. And and but that's the thing, If I keep hitting Biff, eventually I'll get it. I'll get it. I'll get it. I'll get it. And that's the way we've been going pretty much for the last 3 or 4 records.
Well, Biff always, I mean, from my perception of seeing the interviews and stuff on the many things, I mean, being such a pioneer of metal, and I don't know how, I mean, you guys are definitely probably more well known over in Europe, but over in the States, you're well known, but not on the same level as like Maiden or Priest or whatever. But you're
Yeah,
right in there.
yeah. We haven't maintained uh, um, high level touring. We
Yeah.
through the '90s and early millennium, we just didn't get over on a profile package. I mean, I was saying earlier on, it was tough globally for classic heavy rock.
Yeah. The 90s was
So
a weird
you
period.
needed to be out with another high profile band.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you would just stumble and you couldn't tour around the states without
Yeah.
hitting a town with hardly any attendance, and so there was a real dip in the market, and then you lose that momentum. The name doesn't sound relevant anymore. But I don't know. In the last,
It works out in a way because then you know that the people who are coming to see you are really there to see you and really happy to.
that's yeah, the audiences have always been seriously hardcore fans. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, it's yeah, you can go out and find uh, that band, but you want to basically we went out on tour with Motorhead. I think it was 2015.
Yeah. I
And
saw them in 2003 with Dio and Maiden.
yeah, but what I'm saying is, it's like we went out and we did like Motorhead's last American tour and last US tour and European tour, and you could tell the crowd were like really into it. You know, they knew, wow, this is Motorhead still, and this is Saxon still.
Yeah.
And there was, I mean, it was tinged a little bit in a sad way with Lemmy's health at that time wasn't so great, and quite a few of the shows they had to come off stage early.
Yeah.
But we were like being like shown to people again. We were being presented as still relevant.
And that's what's nice about Lemmy is he always did that, even in the 80s and stuff. In the early days, he would always. I mean, he's why Twisted Sister broke.
Yeah.
Totally, you know.
Yeah.
On the Tube show.
Yeah. Yeah. He didn't need to have us with them on tour. He could have had anybody on, like, but it was really cool. And then when we came back to Europe after doing those US shows on the Bad Magic album, we came back to Europe, and you know, within a month we were doing another 25 dates around Europe, and they were nearly all sold out, and it was they were like 3,000, 4,000, up to 5,000-6,000 capacity arenas. Nice. They were the last shows Lemmy did, and it was crazy. And the thing is, we already planned to carry on touring into the next year. Like we finished on like December the 8th. Lemmy went home, and then we were gonna go back out again on January like the 15th, like a month later. Hammersmith 2 nights and stuff like that, and then all over Europe again. Like the dates were going on and on and on and on and on. Yeah. Like, I shook his hand in Hamburg the night before the last show, and we had some funny times. And yeah, he still had an iron fist. That's for sure. He really like crushed my hand when we shook hands, but you could tell he was like.
You had.
I think he knew, you know, basically that this
whatever was happening
could be it. You know, he was getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and you know, I'm not the only one who was looking at that. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's.
Do you have any funny stories that you could share that you have of Lemmy?
Yeah, I mean, my funniest one is that I once we did some shows together, and there was a festival, Wacken, in Germany, and they were on the night before we were on. But I was already there for some reason. I often used to just go to Wacken anyway. I just used to like being there.
Yeah.
And actually, the one of the owners of the festival, Thomas Jensen, along with Holger Hübner, and at that time Cherie Hess, Thomas ended up managing Saxon from around 2001.
Okay.
Up until for over 10 years. And so I used to just go down, say hello, hang around with Thomas, and just be there for great times, take my kids and stuff out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Motorhead were in there, and I think they played quite late, usually around 10 o'clock at night, something. So by that time, I was probably quite drunk. Well, you know, you hang around a festival all day, meeting bands and stuff like that. I like drinking. And so by midnight or so, it was probably around 1 o'clock. They were leaving, and so I just somehow ended up. Oh, I tell you what, I think it was Tim Butcher, who was Lemmy's roadie, guitar tech.
Yeah,
he loves chemistry, let's say that way. And I'm sure he like laced my drink with something experimental, and I found myself in like Lemmy's bus, and they were leaving, and I was like, I'd been roaming around the festival and watching bands in just shorts, t-shirt, and flip flops. No, it was one of those summers where actually it was summer. It wasn't chucking it down with rain, and so flip flops, great. And then I realised I'm sitting down in Lem's bus, and the bus is moving, and I'm pulling his cowboy boots on. Yeah, so I've got his cowboy boots on, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. And then the bus is trying to get out of the festival site, and it's bouncing about like hell because it's in the middle of a field basically.
Yeah,
back.
I was gonna say.
And then Roger, who's like Phil's guitar tech. Roger's like from Brazil. He's done guitar tech for myself and a few guys in our band a few times, but he's basically at that point Phil Campbell's guitar tech, had been for years. And he'd come walking down the steps in Lem's bus and he's going, Nibbs, we're leaving, what are you doing? And I was like, just trying Lem's boots on. And then Lem came out of the toilet and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? Get my fucking boots off. And I was like, trying to get them off. I couldn't get them off because I was barefoot, yeah? And they were stuck on my foot, and the bus is like bouncing about and stuff. So anyway, whatever. Got the boots off at some point and jumps off the bus. And then we played Wacken the next day. But anyway, we did. That was about 2010 or something like that.
Gotcha.
And, but then, it's dead funny though. It's dead funny because, you know, we would bump into each other quite a few times, and it'd often be like that, you know. Quite, how did I get here? Kind of thing. And
I wonder if it was like that for everyone who hung out with Lemmy.
Oh, of course, yeah, pretty much. But he knew exactly what he was doing. That was where he lived, you know.
Everyone always says that he was never sloppy. He was never falling over. He was well aware of what was going on and what he was.
Well, you know, I mean, everybody gets sloppy at some point, but you know, you just don't hang out when you're like that, and you keep that stuff. If you think, you know, it's not working today, you know, just stay restful, you know.
Yeah.
But he would nearly always just like show that you don't have to be out of control, you know.
Yeah.
People think that being adventurous in drink, or you know, having a smoke here or what have you, has to be being out of control, and he wasn't like that, you know.
No.
And so yeah, it was real cool. I mean, we did some shows with Motorhead and Judas Priest. It was just 3 or 4 in Spain. So we would open the show, then it was Motorhead, then Judas Priest headline, and that was like, wow.
It was kind of like that when I saw Motorhead, Dio, and Maiden in 2003. That was
this was a couple of years after that incident, right?
Okay.
And it was really funny. I was chasing Phil Campbell around, asking him where the cider is. You must have some cider. And it was like Priest are playing really loud.
Yeah.
In a huge bull ring or something like that.
Oh, jeez.
And Phil told me where some cider was, and I ran into this room, and there's Lemmy, and he's like, "Hey, Nibbs, come in. Fancy a drink?" And I said, "Oh yeah, I'd love to." And I said, "Actually, we never really get time to sit down and talk." He said, "That's right, we don't." And so we had couple of big drinks each, and then he said to, I think it was Victor, Phil's guy, go and get us a ghetto blaster, like a beatbox. And he was playing me this headcat stuff that he'd been doing, which was like, with Danny from the Stray Cats.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he was just playing. Listen to my stuff. Listen to my demos I've been doing, and that was really cool. Just checking out some demos with a Jack and Coke with Lemmy and Priest playing in the background in a bull ring.
Yeah, that's got to be like, man, what a life.
Yeah, that was great because that was more like let's check some stuff out together.
It was more one-on-one. It was more intimate.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Meeting of the minds of two bassists.
Well, he just wanted to. He just genuinely was interested.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
So, out of your whole career with Saxon, do you have a favorite record that you've played on personally? One that you're most proud of?
Well, there's a few, but I think the one I'm most proud of is the Thunderbolt record.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, but that's something. It's something to do with when you put a lot of work into the actual writing, and it's not.
Oh yeah.
So much. It wasn't so much a band collaboration. I did a lot of writing, and Biff liked it, and so basically we carried on pretty much between ourselves, Biff and myself.
Nice.
Online, I would send him stuff. Can you change this a little bit, Nibbs? Okay, and then I would just add and take away stuff here, and before you know it, you've pretty much got a record. And we would use those templates and just send them to Andy Sneap, and then the guys would go in and use those as a guide, the tempos and everything for drums. And Nigel would do his drums to those guitars that I'd done, and then the guys would do guitars onto what.
Yeah, the overdubs.
On Nigel's drums, and then layer it together. So yeah, I'm particularly proud of the Thunderbolt record.
That's a great record too. I had no idea you wrote the bulk of it.
Well, I didn't write all of it, but I wrote a lot of it, and it was picked up by Biff, and he said, "Yeah, definitely, let's go with that." I mean, it's pretty much the same with Carpe Diem as well.
Oh, yeah.
But that was pretty much always going to happen because it was difficult to get together during the COVID period.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Getting together and writing. I'm in Europe, and I mean the guys could have got together and I could have just done stuff online and stuff like that. But basically, Biff and I, we did the same thing. I would just send him loads of stuff, and he would say, "Sounds great to me. Let's work on that one. Let's work on that one." Before you know it, we're working on 10 ideas that are in song format. And when we would come together as a band and say, "Let's just check out what everybody's got," everybody would throw something in, but just because we're all there, it doesn't mean that gets used.
Yeah.
But in the end. It was pretty much the same with the Carpe Diem record. So I'm really proud of that one as well. But the Thunderbolt one, I would say, it's pretty diverse. There's quite a few wacky things. I don't know if you've heard the Carpe Diem record. Have you?
Not yet. No, I'll have to check that one out next.
Yeah, well, that's the current record. So
okay, yeah.
I mean, we could do an interview about Thunderbolt if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I like Thunderbolt a lot.
Yeah, well, that was the one we went out and Priest had Firepower, we had Thunderbolt, and it was
that's perfect.
It was really cool for us, that tour, because we were doing 50 minutes, which is not a bad spot for a support band.
No,
I think Priest were only doing maximum 90 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's. Yeah.
So we were really lucky. We were playing at least 4 songs from the new album
Nice.
in a 50-minute set.
That says a lot right there.
Yeah, and it was going down really well. I was blown away by how I would go out as soon as we'd done our show. I would just grab a beer, run into the shower, have a shower, and then go straight out and just get in the seats and watch the beginning of the Priest show.
Oh yeah.
Because the beginning of the Priest show, they were starting with Firepower on that tour.
Oh
it was
yeah.
a great intro to a
and
show.
then they went into delivering the goods when I saw them.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, that's a great intro to the show, right?
Yeah. Fucking fantastic.
Yeah. And but I was like fascinated at how those arena shows, there's quite a lot of seats in those places.
Oh yeah.
And I couldn't understand how anybody could sit down in a seat and rock out at the same time. You know, like you sit down, you've got a beer and your girlfriend, you're going
right? Like
I don't get that. I don't know how that works. I'd be sitting watching this guy next to me.
As soon as the band comes on.
How do you do that? You know, if you're rocking out, you've got to be stood up and like slamming and stuff like that.
Exactly. Air guitar in and dancing and singing and jumping.
I've actually gotten yelled at by people for, I'll be up standing up dancing or whatever, rocking out, and they're sitting in their seat and going, "Could you sit down?" And I look at them and I go, "Are you kidding me right now?"
Right?
Why are you sitting there?
Yeah. Could you put your handcuffs on and put your balaclava on and tie? I've got cable ties for your feet.
Yeah, can you sit down? I can't see.
Excuse me, I'm just going to guide you outside.
Yeah. It's like, why would you go to a show if you're just going to sit there?
I know I'm not against that system, because obviously that's how you get a lot of people in there, and the atmosphere was amazing. But
it's the people who just sit there and are like, like this.
That drives me nuts.
And then they're yelling at you because you paid what they paid and you want to have a good time. Well, too bad.
Yeah.
Move or don't go.
And that's that. The thing that got me though was the ones who really, they are rocking out but still sitting down.
Right.
Yeah, that was like, that's a little bit like Norman Bates to me.
Right? Like seriously. Stand up and rock out.
Are you going to be in the bleachers, or are you going to be down front in the mosh pit, or would you prefer the Norman Bates section? Oh yeah.
Oh my! I know your Lemmy stories are hilarious, because every time I hear an interview and people talk about Lemmy, they're all those stories about let's have a drink, and then I know what's happening next, because Lemmy is not a one drink Jack and Coke, which is it the whiskey? Yeah, they actually named the Jack and Coke Lemmy, having a Lemmy.
Yeah, the Lemmy.
Yeah.
Right.
There you go.
Whiskey, yeah, I think it's the whiskey that did that.
I couldn't think of a better way to honor
the whiskey, or where he always hung out at. Is that where I'm thinking?
Yeah, it's the Rainbow.
Rainbow, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Rainbow named the Jack and Coke Lemmy. And,
yeah. Yeah, it's funny.
I know, it's crazy, all the artists we've lost. I mean, Frankie Banali's gone. We just lost a couple more real recently.
Wait a second. You should just roll some titles of people.
I know. Right? It's getting worse, right?
No. I mean, they're all having a great time. At least they don't have to put with humans anymore. They're just hanging around with rock star ghosts. They're having a great time.
You know what I said? I said that's got to be the greatest.
The rock star heaven somehow.
That has to be the greatest forever going concert ever up there.
Yeah, it's like No, you are on a serious guest list when you
Yeah.
go to Rock Heaven.
Right.
I hope
We've
somehow I make it in.
we've
hope-
lost some very
Your name's down.
yeah, he's
Far
gonna
out.
don't worry, he's gonna be a household word if I have anything to say about it. Very
Gypsy Lee
soon.
Pistolero wants me to usurp Eddie Trunk.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Yeah. So what you know, what advice would you give to young musicians that are that want to or young kids, I should say, that want to get into a musical career, make music their career. Kids that have said, since they were young, they want to be in a band, that type of thing. I mean, from all your experience and the way you were talking, that you were pretty young when you had started out.
yeah. All I would say is I'm not a specialist in giving out advice on
it's nice to hear it.
Career prospects or anything like
nice
that. But
to
what
hear
I
it from
would
the
say
artist.
is that I am I definitely spent a lot of hours just practicing my instrument. That's for sure.
Yep.
But it's not just that. You have to kind of try and find an environment where other people around you have a similar interest. So you have to try and look for like-minded people as well. So you can advertise yourself, especially nowadays. It's
Yeah, it's a
so
lot
easy
easier.
to advertise yourself and just say, I'm definitely looking to be a band musician. I want to be in a band, and just practice, play along with your favorite records. It's so easy to do nowadays. I mean,
Yeah.
it was easy to do back in my day.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it.
I was in that era before technology took over, so I was still putting the record on and then making sure it was good to go. And
yeah, I mean, fast forward, rewind, replay, and all that kind of stuff.
And now you can just hook it up to your amp.
Yeah, I mean,
Play to your amp while you're playing.
Well,
yeah, what we're talking about is just playing along with your favorite stuff and just enjoying it. Enjoy. Try not to be too serious. Make sure that there's a big portion of fun in all that work that you're doing. It shouldn't be like it shouldn't feel like science.
Correct.
It should feel like sport and art at the same time. Like in that, if it's drums, definitely a little bit more sporty, but
absolutely,
even guitar, you be careful, don't overdo it, but just practice and play, because these are your tools. Connecting your fingers to your mind, that's basically looking at the book for the best tools and instruments that you can find. They're all in here, connected to these. And so practice is like the key, really. And trying to get together with people who are into the same kind of like mindset. It's great to bump into somebody who is just naturally gifted and just doesn't seem to need to practice or seem to need to dedicate a lot of time to being a good musician.
Yeah.
But when you find somebody that just seems to be a daydreamer but is an amazing musician, then you're lucky. But don't just rely on good luck.
Exactly.
Look.
Hey, listen, I tell my grandson, I said, you have the talent. I said, but the looks don't deter from it. I mean, because he's a good-looking kid too. So
Yeah.
yeah, he's a drummer. So he practices a lot, much to his mother's chagrin.
Yes. Yeah. That's part of the fun. You know?
Oh
Absolutely.
yes, she's yelled at me for being for enabling the continuation of the practicing when I've been over there, because he, you know, he knows like 13 songs now straight through. The kid blew me away playing Cinderella Nobody's Fool. I
Okay.
couldn't believe it. Like, I was like, what do you Quiet Riot, he plays that through. He plays some he loves Metallica. I'm
Okay. I think I've heard of this kid. It's called Mason, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah. Yeah, he's been rising up. I've been hearing about him. And so yeah, he just needs to just keep going on, like pissing his mum off, and yeah, he should be doing fine. Like
Yeah,
just
he's
tell him
doing well.
all the best from me, Mason. Go for it.
Yeah.
Whatever
Thank
Mama
you.
says, you know, Mama's right all the time, but I think you're on the right track too.
Yes,
Oh, I agree.
he is a wonderful kid, and I thank God that kids like him are really keeping our music alive, and I think it'll be there alive for a long time coming. So
Yeah.
not only to him, but
If I have something to
all the
do
other
with it,
kids. Yeah, I know you're still a kid.
I'm 30. I got kids of my own, but still.
Nibbs and I are about a year apart. I graduated in 1984, so that'll tell you how old I am.
Yeah. Oh, 55 feels fine to me. You know,
Yeah.
all I'm bothered about is getting out and playing a gig.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
Well, we
I've
hope
done
to see. Yeah, we definitely hope to see you here in the States.
I
well,
definitely.
think about it. Think about it. I've done 2 gigs this year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Well,
It's really crazy. And the
what
gigs
is it,
that we did play, they were
Brexit
scheduled to be
and-
played in 2020.
Wow.
Crazy. So
And
what?
then it had to be postponed into 21, and then postponed into later 21, and then postponed into 22. Well, the great
Yeah,
thing is when we actually went and played them, they were still both sold out.
Wow.
Yeah, that's crazy, because they were
Well,
shows
People are
where
starving for music.
people would have been coming in from all over the world, and hotels, planes,
Right.
Yeah.
accommodation,
Oh yeah,
plus the ticket, you know. So
exactly.
we sold out Hammersmith, and we sold out Manchester, and that
Well,
was
good on you.
yeah, good on the people. I mean, they held
that
tickets and
Right.
cancelled and rebooked and cancelled and rebooked, and
We're a faithful lot. Give us that.
yeah, I really was not expecting it, and so that was a big surprise, you know. And so, yep, we're looking forward to getting out on tour. Gdansk in 3 weeks, and then around Europe, and then touring the Carpe Diem album
Nice.
in autumn.
Nice.
I'll be
And
sure
then we
to
should be
check
coming
it out.
we should be coming your way in spring, I would say.
Awesome. I'm up near Buffalo, man.
Yeah.
I'll keep an eye out, and if I can get a hold of you somehow, maybe we can have a beer.
Yeah, should
Yep,
we do?
And I'm in Pennsylvania, so definitely.
We're both on the East.
I know there's venues you play here, so we'll definitely get to a show or 2 or 3.
Yeah, well, it's about time. People are hankering for gigs, you know.
I am.
We want the music too. It's it's they really just started within the last year to open up the festivals and all that because of COVID.
Yeah.
So and a lot of the touring had halted, and now they're just tours that were supposed to happen, like you said, like in 2020 or 21, are just happening now. I think the big one is Motley Crue. Who was it? Motley Crue
Def Leppard,
and
Poison, and
Joan Jett.
Poison,
yeah.
Def Leppard.
So that was supposed to happen in like 2020 or 2019, and then COVID hit, and they postponed it. Then they postponed it another year.
It's been
And they're
postponed
just
about
finally
4
doing it
times.
now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what
Yeah.
happened with us.
So we understand. Believe me, we want you guys over in the States as much as you guys want to come. Hey, you can stay at me or Andy's house. You won't even have to have a hotel.
I don't know what we'd feel like the next day.
Are you trying to insinuate something, Nibbs?
No, I am insinuating.
Yeah, well, let me just put it this way. I have a wine fridge in my house.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
I could get imported beer from the Wegmans.
There you go. See, we got you covered.
Yeah. Sounds like a deal.
What is it at the end of the day, though, that you love about music, Nibbs?
Well, when you don't know what a guitar's going to ask you to play on it when you pick it up. That's the great thing.
I understand completely.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, you pick a guitar up in the morning, and I think it could be something to do with the kind of weather we have around here as well. It's so changeable.
Yeah.
You know, you get up and you don't know what the hell's coming, especially at this time of the year.
Yeah.
It's really pretty actually at the moment here.
Same here.
I'll just give you a quick look.
Yeah. First time I'm seeing actual German.
It looks nice outside now.
Oh, that's lovely.
It's evening. You know, there's some nice colours and stuff. This is where I'm like recording at the moment at home.
Awesome. Go DIY. That's how I do my records. But all right, Nibbs.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else for the fans before we wrap this up here?
Yeah, I would say, firstly, to the fans that came to those shows in Britain in January, that was amazing. I don't know if you're going to be watching this, but thanks for coming. I'm waiting for 2 years and then selling out Manchester and London was amazing. And for fans who are still waiting, you know, especially stateside, we'll make it across to you. And I know that a lot of you have bought the Carpe Diem record, and so thanks for that.
I will be soon.
Yeah, I mean, we put a lot of work into the record. It wasn't the easiest record to make. We couldn't all be in the studio at the same time. We couldn't all be in the writing situation at the same time. So we've done a lot of it by internet composition, let's say that. But it's all Saxon. We wrote the record. We recorded the record. We dedicated it, you know, as we always do, to the fans, and been accepted, and a lot of you have been out there buying it already. That's amazing, and we can't wait to come and play it to you. So
we can't wait to hear it.
Anybody who's wondering if we were like still playing, you know, we can't wait. We just want to come out and play.
Awesome, and we can't wait for you. We'll be here.
We just honestly, on behalf of both myself and Andy, we were so excited for this interview.
Yes. I mean, was like, yes.
I'm very proud of myself. I'm such a good manager. I think I need a raise, Andy.
I'm not making anything yet.
I know. we're you know, one step at a time. One step at a time. Isn't that the way it goes?
Yeah.
I told him, be patient. It's going to happen. I have faith in him. He's so talented. He just doesn't.
Okay,
he has
kids.
to realize it. He has to realize he's talented.
All right, kids.
All right. If you like what we're doing here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Once again, this has been Andi Thunders with the Rock and Roll Nurse and the legendary Nibbs, bassist of Saxon, legend of many, consumer of beers. Till next time.
Take care of each other. Thanks for the
Love
interview,
rock and
and
roll.
enjoy yourselves. Take it
Nibbs,
easy.
can you stay on for like 5 minutes?